All right, let's take a look at this footbridge that just expands this small canal in Venice. I want to point out to you the underside of the bridge. If you were to take a photo of that, that would be a colorless gray. There would just be absolutely no color. And that is one of the wonderful things about plein air painting, is that we actually get to see and look at those colors and say, hey, there is color underneath there. It's not like it is in the photograph. So I'm going to show you how to get that shadow underneath that bridge and make it luminous and full of life with color. Now, I normally don't draw my watercolor paper with this pencil. This is so that you can see my drawing a little more easily. I will use a number 2 pencil or a household pencil to do this. Here are those funny little windows that we have to be careful about, that they're not all rectangles. But the point in question that we want to discuss right now is this reflected color underneath here. How critically important it is to get that color in there. So I'm going to establish the outside edge of this bridge first. Or not the outside edge, but the outside that's receiving the light, that's away from the shadow, away from the underside of the bridge. So this is fairly dark because it's actually in shadow from behind these in these buildings. I've got to cast shadow over that. But what's more important that I want to discuss is how to get this reflected light. Let's make that a little bit lighter here. I want to get the reflected light into the underside of the bridge. If we look carefully at it, we'll see that there's a lot of green down here. And as we learned from before, let's go ahead and get a little bit of warm color in there, because that's going to be reflecting from the underside of this bridge. But what we tend to neglect is this part of it. This green is reflecting up into the underside of this bridge. Put that green in there and go ahead and put some of your warm colors in that too, which are the local color of the bricks. But don't be afraid to let that green from the water reflect up inside there. That is very important. I can see it now that I'm standing or sitting here looking at it, but it would be very difficult to try to find any color in there in a photograph unless you have a photograph that's been retouched. But that green from the water needs to go up inside there. In fact, I might even put a little bit more right up on the underside there. Later on, after this dries, I can come in and we can pick out some of the brickwork, whatever it is we might want to draw our eye to this part of the painting, even make a harder edge here. But the point is, I established that reflected color in there early on, and you can keep working on it. As long as the paint is wet, you can keep dropping in some more green or whatever color you want until you get something about that you like. Keep in mind, the paint has to be wet. There has to be a sheen on it for you to keep dropping that color in and for it to flow like that. Once the sheen is off, we'll talk about this on another video. Once the sheen is off, then we have to change our technique and get the water out of the brush to drop color in. Okay, so we have windows over here, and this is really not the point of this discussion, these windows, but it's getting that color in to that shadow area. So that pretty well wraps it up for Venice, and I plan on showing a little bit more about buildings in Germany on our next little trip. So I will see you there.